Nintendo Switch's bulging catalog of games covers practically every genre, and first-person shooters are no exception. It's a welcome change because Nintendo systems have historically lagged a little behind other consoles in the FPS field despite hosting some classics. The success of Switch is changing all that, though, and with a raft of the best FPS games arriving on the handheld hybrid. But what are the best shooting games for Nintendo Switch? Well, saddle up, lock and load, and prepare for our selection of the best first-person shooters on Switch. Number 10. Doom. Doom, as it's perhaps better known, although this actually arrived on Switch in 2017, is something of a wonder on Switch. It might not boast the frame rate or visual fidelity of other console versions, but then again it's tough to play your PS4 Pro on the bus. As well as the excellent campaign mode which brilliantly plays on the ridiculousness of the premise and Doomguy's 2D character, Doom's multiplayer was also a pleasant surprise. Developer Panic Button set an incredibly high bar with this impossible port, and Doom Eternal picks up where this one leaves off. If you only play one FPS on Switch, go to hell. Number 9. Metro 2033 Redux. Metro 2033 Redux is a top-class first-person shooter/survival horror game, a breathless experience that's been almost flawlessly ported to Switch by 4A Games. Artyom's desperate, haunting voyage through the irradiated remains of Moscow is every bit as engaging today as it was when it first released back in 2010, and this Redux version benefits massively from overhauled AI, gameplay mechanics, and visuals. In terms of first-person shooters or survival horror games on Nintendo's console, this is one of the very best. Number 8. Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. While its graphical downgrade on Switch is hard to miss, that doesn't detract from the fact that Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus is the best narrative single-player FPS experience you can have on Switch right now. The lack of a multiplayer mode might grate, although that wasn't present on other consoles either, but with its brilliantly written story and intense action, this stands alongside Doom as a blistering FPS campaign that feels close to magical when played on Switch hardware. BJ's War Against the Third Reich is one you definitely won't want to miss. Number 7. Paladins. As a free-to-play game, Paladins: Champions of the Realm is an easy sell. As exciting, tense, and rewarding as Overwatch, it brings the cross-platform hero shooter to a new platform without sacrificing the Moorish gameplay tenets that's made it such a hit with both casual and pro gamers. There's a definitive learning curve for those looking to play competitively, but it's nonetheless one of the console's best multiplayer shooters. Number 6. Superhot. Superhot offers a first-person shooter experience unlike any other. The campaign is a brief stint, but upon completion you open up a whole wealth of new content, including an endless mode and challenge mode. This is some serious meat right here, as you can replay the entire campaign again, but with arbitrary limitations, including only being able to use a katana which, as you might expect, makes those enemies toting pistols and shotguns a mite more complex to take out. Over time you'll slowly realize you're pausing to think less and less, and you find yourself slipping into a groove which is hugely satisfying. Overall, Superhot is the most innovative shooter we've played in years. Number 5. Crysis Remastered. Arriving 13 years after it originally set about melting the PC of anyone who dared to try to play it, Crysis Remastered on Switch is a port that's more impressive than anyone could have realistically expected. Performance for the most part is slick and smooth, albeit with a few dips and stutters here and there, while new lighting and global illumination techniques make this a fine-looking version of the game. The addition of Euro controls is just the cherry on top of an excellent job on the part of Saber Interactive. The gameplay here has aged surprisingly well, too, and rampaging across the sandbox of Lingshan taking out human and alien foes with your nanosuit technology is just as much fun now as it was way back in 2007. Number 4. Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is a lot of things, but a proper sequel to the original, now unavailable, Overwatch is not one of them. Although a few new maps and heroes are welcome, and the gameplay itself remains just as enjoyably intense as it always was. There is nothing here that feels innovative or notable enough to justify that 2 in the title. Overwatch 2 feels more like a few updates Blizzard could have pushed to the original release. Couple this with the heightened focus on monetization and the absence at launch of the promised co-op story content, and you're left with an experience that feels like it falls short of the potential it had. Number 3. Rico. Rico is simple, moreish fun in arcade FPS form, a literal corridor shooter that makes every gunfight a glorious exchange of bullets as you fight your way to the world's room cleared over and over again. It's great fun in single player, but when you head into each randomized set of rooms in co-op, you'll shoot your way into an interactive buddy cop movie right there in the palm of your hands. Loading times and the occasional bit of popping aside, this is another fine addition to the console's growing list of first-person shooters. Number 2. Call of Juarez, Gunslinger. Somewhat overlooked and underrated when it was first released, Call of Juarez. Gunslinger's second rodeo on Switch doesn't really bring anything new to the table that it didn't already bring before, but it's still a brilliant first-person shooter and an entertaining adventure. It does clever things with its story structure and is absolutely worth a blast if you haven't played it elsewhere. Number 1. Project Warlock. Project Warlock is an excellent throwback to the fast-paced, gory strafe-fests of the 90s. It's got tons of big, meaty weapons, magic attack abilities, some light puzzle elements, and an endless procession of freakish hellspawn to blow into tiny chunks across 5 impressively varied settings. Buckshot Software's debut effort is an easy recommendation for retro FPS fans and one of the better shooter experiences currently available on Switch. So, we have shared with you top 10 best Nintendo Switch FPS games. Hope that they will be useful to you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.